our first rib. So our first rib is actually located right underneath our collarbone, under our clavicle. And we have a bunch of muscles that attach from the top of our skull here and actually go directly onto our first rib, or some muscles that cross over our first rib and insert around here. Now this is important because we also have our brachial plexus, and this is a bunch of nerves, as well as we have arteries and veins that come out of our neck, and they actually pass through our first rib and then go down our arm. So sometimes these neck muscles can get tight. They can pull up on our first rib, which then compresses the nerves, arteries, and veins that are going through this area. So it's narrowing that space. So our neck pain and even some symptoms that we might be having going down into our arm, maybe even some numbness and tingling in our fingers, this could all stem from our first rib being elevated. Now, you won't know for certain if it's your first rib that's causing the problem unless you're going to a physical therapist. However, if you suspect that it is caused by this, or if you're experiencing some pain and you've tried different stretches and it's not working, give this a shot and see if it helps. Of course, if your symptoms start to increase and you're experiencing pain afterwards, please stop, don't go any further. But if this helps feel good, feel free to do this once to twice a day to really help to get that first rib down, the neck muscles, and then after you get that, so you get the symptoms relieved, then you can work on keeping those neck muscles stretched so that they're not constantly pulling up, as well as strengthening some of your shoulder muscles so that the drivers, what was causing your first rib to be elevated and compressing in the first place, can be resolved. So what you're gonna need, it's a couple of props actually. So you'll need a belt or a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball. I recommend getting both. I really like one of the exercises to use with the ball, as well as a couple of pillows or yoga blocks, something to prop yourself up. Okay, so you can pause that video to go and get that stuff and then resume once you have it. I'm gonna show you the first couple of rounds with the belt. So let's say that it is your right side that is having pain and some symptoms maybe going down the arm. You're gonna grab a belt and you're gonna put it over that right shoulder. You wanna grab the front of the belt with your right hand, and in the back, you can hold it however you want. You're gonna grab the back, and what you're gonna be doing is pulling down. So whatever's comfortable for you to do that. You want to think about pulling down to your left hip, so it's on an angle. The belt needs to be on that first rib, so think about coming up. It's a little bit higher on your neck than you would suspect, that meaty part of your upper traps here. So place the belt there, grab onto the belt, good. And what you're going to do is inhale, pull down, and then you're going to bend your head to the right. So you're going towards the belt. And then we're just gonna breathe here, continuing to pull down, slowly easing into it. Maybe on the next exhale, you bend down a little bit more. We wanna hold this stretch for 30 seconds at least. Good, so right now we're shortening all of those neck muscles. So we're actually putting everything into a relaxed state. You want to make sure when you're pulling down that your shoulder is away from your ear. You don't want to be up here. That defeats the purpose. Good. And then you can even rotate your head so that you're looking towards that right hip. Good. So after 30 seconds is up, and you can use your phone as a timer, you're going to do the same thing. You can reset, but this time you're going to be bending your head away. So pull down and then bend your head away from the strap. Keep pulling. Good. You can look slightly up if you want to. So now we're stretching those muscles. Now the reason why I don't like the belts as much is because your arms could actually get tired pulling down, and we really do want that pull, because what the belt is doing is it's holding your first rib in place as we stretch the muscles. And when we stretch the muscles, because they're attached to the first rib, they would pull the rib up. Keep stretching while I'm talking now. They would pull the rib up, so we're locking it down into place, and then we're stretching the muscles. Good, and you would do that again for 30 seconds. And then you would go back to the other side for 30, and then back away for 30. Now, the same thing can be done with a ball. So you're gonna take the ball and put it right past that collarbone, and you're gonna press down, and then the same thing, you would go down or you would go away. Now, once you've done that, something that I really enjoy doing, you're gonna take the lacrosse ball, put it back where it was, hold it into place, and then you're going to lift your arm up and down. Thinking about keeping the shoulder down. So we're not lifting the shoulder up to get there. We're not arching our back to get our arm up. We're keeping everything in place, neutral spine, as we lift the arm up while still pressing on that lacrosse ball. Another way you can do it is you can go to a door, and just with the door, place the lacrosse ball, put your shoulder, and do the same thing, lifting your arm up and down. So whichever's easier for you. You can also get someone to hold the lacrosse ball for you, pressing down, and then you can tell them if they're pressing a little bit too hard. It's sort of easier when you're controlling the pace, but you're going to do 10 of these, lifting your arm up and down. And then the last one, if your neck can tolerate it. Now remember, we're dealing with a bunch of nerves in the area. So if you're having pain, doing a lot of pushing and shoving things down, it can actually irritate your symptoms. So you want to do what you can tolerate. Fortunately for me, I'm not experiencing any symptoms, so I can do all of this without it really flaring up any pain. But you want to listen to your body and what you can tolerate. So if you can tolerate it, and of course you control how much pressure you put on the ball. We're going to put the ball back, pressing down on the rib, lifting up, and then bending your head away. So now we're doing all the things that would be lifting up that first rib. And we're keeping it down with the lacrosse ball. Just trying to free up that space. Good. So all of these things, again, they're to help lower that first rib. So if your first rib is elevated, that's to help depress it, to get it back down. But it doesn't really solve the problem of why this happened in the first place. And there are a couple of reasons, usually having to do with our neck. So it could be the posture of our neck. Sometimes when we're stressed too, we tend to keep our shoulders all the way up here, which keeps everything tight. And so this could be something, especially during the times that we're in right now, with a lot of stress, we might be having our shoulders up to our ears, which could be causing that. Also, turning your head and keeping it turned for long periods of time can help to shorten those muscles and then again pull up the rib. Another one is if we're frequently lifting overhead. So oftentimes here, as you see, as I lift my arm up, everything kind of compresses and everything elevates. And so these could be some reasons why you're experiencing this pain. So after you do all that stretching to relieve, or mobilizations, I guess, to relieve those symptoms, you want to do things to stretch out the front, strengthen the back. So what we're going to be doing, and this is one of my favorite things to do, is you're going to get the pillows or the yoga block and place it down on the mat. Or on the floor, sorry, you don't need a mat. So we'll place them down here, pillow at the head for you. Now the point of this, you're going to get on your back, is that you want your shoulder to be off the pillow. So it doesn't really count if it's on. You want to get it off the pillow and hopefully it reaches down to the ground. If not, maybe move a pillow away. So you do want to feel a stretch, but we're going to be hanging out here for a while, so it shouldn't be too intense. Now, when you're here, make sure that your shoulder is away from your ear. Bend your elbow to 90 degrees, and we're in this kind of cactus position. You should be feeling a stretch across your chest. Try and keep your neck neutral. You can even do a little bit of a chin tuck here, but you just don't want to be looking down, so your chin's not to your chest. So it's up, but can be pushed back, and you're just feeling a stretch along here. If you don't feel anything, feel free to get more pillows to prop yourself up more, or lay on a foam roller. That usually feels good. If you start to experience any numbness or tingling, or it's increasing your symptoms, just back out a little bit. So some people might not be able to get their hand all the way to the ground, and that shows that they just have some restrictions in their shoulder mobility. So you can always put a pillow behind your hand. You're actually going to stay here between 5 and 10 minutes. So this is a really good thing to do after work, to just kind of bring down the nervous system and relax. I won't make you guys sit for 5 minutes with me now, but just on your own time, sit here and really stretch out that chest. Keep your chin up, and hopefully it doesn't reproduce any of those symptoms. And you can always close your fist if it's getting bad, but you still want that chest stretch. Once you've done that, so we've stretched a bit, now we want to strengthen. So you're going to lie on your stomach. Have your head flat. Bring your arms down at your side, palm up. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to pull your shoulders down away from your ears. Good. Then you're going to lift your hands up, and then you're going to bring them in. So it's pull your shoulders down, lift your palms up, bring your palms in, out, down, and relax. You're going to do this 10 to 20 times. We're trying to build endurance here, so it should be for a long period of time. However, if you haven't done this in a while, it can be pretty intense. I'll be honest, it's hard for me too. So you're going to do 10 to 20. Just pulling your shoulders down, up, and in. You should be feeling it all along here in the middle of your back, between your shoulder blades. And then the last one we're going to do is we're going to work on lifting up our arm while keeping our shoulder down. So oftentimes when we have weakness, we compensate. So when we're lifting our arm up, and maybe everything is kind of coming up, or we're arching our back to get up there. What we want to do is keep our shoulder blade down as we lift up. So this allows for space to stay where our first rib and clavicle area is. So we're going to practice that lying down. So what you're going to do is have your hands out in front of you, pull your shoulder blade down, and then lift up. You want to keep your legs firmly pressed into the ground, hold, and then relax. So it's not just lifting up. Notice there's a difference between me doing this and me pulling down and then lifting up. You want your neck to be nice and relaxed. And again, it's pull down and you're going to hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. And you'll do that 5 to 6 times. If 10 seconds is too long and you find that as you're holding it, your body is kind of coming up or your shoulder is starting to come towards your ear, back off. So go where you can do it. So maybe that's holding for 5 seconds. Maybe it's 3 seconds. But it is important after we do all of these stretches to strengthen the surrounding muscles so that we don't get this problem again. We want to prevent or fix what was causing that pain to begin with. Okay, I hope that you found this helpful. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll see you here on my channel next week.